Oh, but so and so just needs some quick wins. Like we just need some quick wins. We got to show the value, and then we can move on to the next thing. You know, but just get to the quick wins. Do the quick wins.
Welcome to 33 Tangents, a weekly podcast featuring a rotating panel of co-hosts that all work together in the same company but live in different areas of the world. The discussions cover a wide variety of topics from digital analytics to working remotely to current happenings in business and technology. Our regular day-to-day conversations often go off in various directions, and the goal of this podcast is to share our ideas and find new ways to engage with others. So Bryant, it's just you and I today.
Fantastic. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been hearing you've been whining that you haven't been on in a little while.
Who's saying that? That's weird.
I'm hearing it from multiple sources, but I will not divulge them.
Well, there's only so many sources to eliminate there.
Nice. So I registered for a half marathon this morning.
I'm pausing because I'm just thinking it's a big commitment right there. The registration.
Yeah.
Did it cost money?
Oh yeah, $60.
Okay. So
Um,
you got some cheddar.
yeah, I've got 7.5 months to prepare for it. It's at the end of September. It's Ocean City, New Jersey. So going to run the half marathon there. It was last year. I wasn't able to run it last year, so I'm definitely going to do it this year. And I mean, I've run 2 half marathons previously, but at this point, by the time I run this, it'll have been 3 years since my last one. So I'm curious to see how I feel in the time that's passed. But the actual act of registering now like sets a commitment in motion.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good luck.
Thank you, thank you. So yep, now it's time to really get the training underway.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been trying to better my personal health this year as well,
Mm-hmm. How's that
and
going for you?
thus far have not missed a day of cardio, which we have an elliptical machine at home, and so the minimum time. Well, it's not really time. So, and I totally acknowledge that all elliptical machines are created unequal, and none are a true accurate representation of calories burned. However, I do also believe that if you do 200 one day and 400 another in terms of calories, it is accurately measuring the proportion between the 2 days. So the minimum I'm going for on this machine is 650 calories a day, and there hasn't been a day I have missed hitting that minimum since the start of the year, which is the longest I've ever had that much consistent cardio exercise. Which is,
Nice.
yeah, feeling better, and that's been going good.
Nice work. And you bring up a good point. Like people make the same criticism with the Fitbit devices. It's not actually a step. Why are you calling it a step? And I mean, I'm like, I try to tell people, like, think of it as just a unit of energy, a unit of activity, and just giving you a baseline of like how active were you. Did you actually
Yeah.
take 10,000 steps that day? Maybe not. But when you look at, say, your week, and there's days where you're getting 2,000 steps versus 12,000 steps, like those days where you're only getting 2,000 steps, you're not moving much at all.
Yeah, much like analytics is not a direct scientific measurement of web behavior because it is
Mm-hmm.
cookie based. As you look at the trends over time, you can see interesting insights that are
Mm-hmm.
helpful. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
but that's my lame tie-in for the win-win of cliches. to right size us into the topic of conversation at some point. But yeah, it whether or not it whether or not it's actually 650 calories, who knows? But
Mhm.
again, it's the ratio and the consistency. Usually, that takes me 30 minutes or so to get to
Mhm.
that level as well. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Like what I've been doing is doing 2 miles, whether a walk or a jog with a weighted backpack. I've been doing 20 pounds. I'm about to up it to 30. And with the thought being that like the reason I've started running races is because it's a challenge. It's not it's not something easy for me to do. So it's like it really pushes me um in out of my comfort zone. So my thought process is because when I run, I'm such a heavy runner, heavy walker. Like I stamp. Um, Training with some kind of weight, some kind of resistance will make me a bit lighter on my feet and make it feel like it's easier to move. You know, talking with Jason, he's used the analogy of the hitter on in the on deck circle with the weight on his bat. You know, taking practice swings
totally.
with the
Yeah,
weight makes the bat in comparison feel lighter. So it's been really good. Like I definitely feel throughout the day like my legs feel lighter on those days that I do it. So I'm going to keep that up, but the pace you have to keep for this particular half marathon is 15 minutes. So I definitely need to like in a couple months really start focusing on getting my pace, which when I run, like I'll run anywhere from like a 14 to a 16-minute mile. Definitely want to get that down.
yeah, yeah. What's the fastest mile you've ever run in your life, even including like when you were 14 in junior high and it was, gym class?
Mm-hmm. I was slower then than I am now, so I will say that. I would say probably about 10-minute mile is the fastest I've run.
Huh. Yeah, it's these people are crazy that do these 5 minute miles throughout the
Mm.
course of an entire marathon. I don't think
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I think you and I are built very differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do a combination walk run. So
Yeah,
I'll have music playing. So I'll have my phone with me. I'll have music playing, and then I've got an interval app running. So I'll typically start out maybe minute running, 20 seconds walking, and then toward the end of the race, it becomes more about. It's probably more even, probably 30-30.
yeah, yeah.
This way start out, get a good pace, get a good head start, so you're above the pacers at the end, so then you can slow down a bit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not about being first. For me, it's more about just finishing.
No, totally. Yeah, I think you've got to be able to set those goals, and part of why I started mine um, was two reasons. One, we have an upcoming move into a new home, hopefully. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized, like, if I'm going to be at all useful, I better get my can off of the couch and in shape to be able to help. And then,
Mm-hmm.
secondly, I'm planning on actually doing a backpacking trip in Nepal at
Oh,
some point
nice.
this year. I don't know if I've told you that or not, but my brother and
No, you
I
haven't told me.
is we're gonna. He lives in England, and we're gonna meet in Kathmandu and do some Nepal hiking and Himalayan adventures. So I got to get ready for that.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think all of this actually gives me a good segue into the topic today. So this is an episode that's been in the making. It's been a running joke you and I have had. We started talking about different cliches and business speak, and we're both like, this could be a really good episode. So how is all of this talk a good segue? Is there's the one cliche you always hear. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Um, so I really see this being a really fun episode, and one I think that could provide some real value. Um, in and around, like some say, phrases become cliches for a reason. Again, another cliche. My introduction is going to be filled with them.
Well, I threw a few out, so if the listeners are wondering why is Bryant not making any sense, A, it's because I'm speaking, but B, there was an intentional moment in which I was trying to throw out some cliches that we could hopefully double click into later and have
Well,
that win-win.
put
Yeah,
a pin in that for a second.
yeah,
Um, you know, but what I was saying, like a lot of times people talk about cliches being cliches for a reason, um, because they can be helpful, right? They can help convey deep details in a concise amount of words, because there are certain things you hear, you automatically get a visual of what it is. It helps with that, but they can also become worn out very quickly, and then all meaning is lost.
yeah.
And this is definitely true of a lot of business speak. Um, and so while they can be helpful, do you think, they can also mask, direct speech by just becoming a bunch of roundabout words? My quick answer is yes. And I think that's something I want to definitely double click into. But let's start off with, what are some of the worst cliches you've ever heard, and some of the worst business speak that you think is currently in use.
Um, yeah, I think a lot of times cliches get created by people that are trying to sound smarter or be more effective than than they maybe really are in that moment, and so they will invent a new use or definition of a term, and oftentimes they will spin it into some weird metaphor, and then just start using that. So one of them that I actually really dislike, but also find myself using because it is so commonplace at this point, is the whole hard stop um, during a particular schedule. Like,
Oh, I'm
hey,
guilty of this.
we have to we I have a hard stop in 20 minutes, and this podcast is going to have to end at that point. Like, I get what it means, I understand why it's used, but it's just one of those that, to me, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard, and I wish that, like, I wish that it would be more like I I have to stop at a particular time point. The hard stop. Like, does that mean like stop doesn't really mean stop? Like it's a rolling stop, or do we have rolling stops with meetings that we ever bring up, or the soft stop? Like I haven't heard many soft stops, but we do have the hard stop. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, or we got too many cooks in the kitchen is another one that drives me nuts. It's like that's usually symptomatic of like whoever the organizer is of a particular meeting to have brought too many cooks into that kitchen, so to speak. But again, like there are some that are useful. Like there's another one like we want to make something scalable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the term scalable can be used very efficiently, but oftentimes people will have it mean something completely different, or use it in a wrong way. So I guess maybe that's my biggest gripe is it's the misuse of a term or the new definition of a term because it sounds businessy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's ultimately where the words start to lose all meaning, altogether. Like the one of the ones that I do like, and it's one of the things we started this conversation off with, is the talk about, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually something I tell myself, even when I get into these points where it's like, I've got a list of things to do and I'm racing to get it done. So a lot of times the deadlines I've imposed myself, not somebody else. So it's telling yourself, slow down, because just, whether you race to get this done today, or you slow down and you're able to get it done next week, in the long run, everything is still going to be the same.
Yeah, yeah, and pro tip out there for people, um, and this I can say is a pro tip. It doesn't mean that I'm a pro executioner of this tip, but let others set your own deadlines. Like you just said that you self impose these deadlines, and it causes you to like feel like you're sprinting to the finish line. I do that all the time. Instead of waiting until someone states when they need something. I'm like, oh yeah, I can get that to you tomorrow. And it immediately, goes onto the to-do list. And I'm a man of trying to be a man of my word and getting things done when I say I'm going to do them. And then all of a sudden, tomorrow comes around, and there's a whole bunch of things that I said I would get done tomorrow, in addition to things that I said last week that I would be done in a week from, and therefore it just compounds. So, pro tip to those: let others set your deadlines, and let them be the first to speak about them.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That is so true. And it's like when they say when you're talking about money, the first to speak loses. The
Yeah,
same thing with deadlines.
yeah,
God,
absolutely.
another freaking cliche right there. But again, that one's a valuable one. But
Yeah.
like one that I know I'm guilty of, but also grates on me, is when people talk about bandwidth in the terms of resource capacity, right? I don't have the bandwidth for that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, again, I think this is definitely a case of people trying to sound more nuanced or whatnot. Just say capacity.
Yeah, or I don't have, like, I guess we're trying to avoid like not sounding like a jerk and basically saying like whatever you're telling me doesn't have enough priority to be useful of my time at this moment. Right? Like, so we're masking that message with a phrase of like, well, I just don't have enough bandwidth at the moment. I think maybe that's part of that one. Yeah, it's funny because I'm actually like right now looking up like what's the true definition of the word bandwidth, right? And it's a range of frequencies within a given band, in particular, that's used for transmitting a signal. So there is like this engineering background um, of like not being able to send enough information through a signal in which that band only has a certain amount of width in which information can be transmitted. And now we talk about it with regards to our own time. How about this one? How about low hanging fruit?
That one's worn out for me.
See, I like that one. I use that one all the time, and I'm actually okay with it because, yeah. Now I think the danger of the low hanging fruit is that that's all you're ever looking to find in an organization. But the term low hanging fruit, I don't know. That one, maybe I'm blind by my own stupidity here, but I'm okay with that one.
Yeah, no, low hanging fruit, and that's the same along the same lines as quick wins. I
Yeah, yeah,
avoid the term quick wins like the plague. I
yeah.
got another cliche. Um, I try to avoid the term quick wins as best I can because I've always find that one comes back to bite me because you're trying to say like this is something we can get done very very quickly, and it'll provide value, but typically quick wins are not done quickly. And
Oh, just
ultimately,
but so and so just needs some quick wins. Like
yeah.
we just need some quick wins. We got to show the value, and then we can move on to the next thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but just get to the quick wins. Do the
Yeah.
quick wins.
Quick
Yeah,
wins. Yeah.
I find also, and it's similar to low hanging fruit. Actually, I think those two are related. But again, I think it's symptomatic of somebody just trying to get to an arbitrary milestone for the sake of doing so, as opposed to stepping back and thinking about what it is that you're trying to do. So in our industry, obviously, we're doing analytics, we're doing optimization. What is a quick win with analytics? Is it just running a single report and saying, "Hey, we've got a report we didn't have before," or is it like an analysis and a quick win can really grow legs? But also,
Mm-hmm.
why are we only searching for the quick wins?
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's search for the real meaty content and insights that are going to transform things in a business. A quick win is simply a check in the box to say we've accomplished something
Mm-hmm.
meaningless.
Yeah. Well, then that's part of the problem with the term quick wins is it's all relative. And a lot of times the people talking in the terms of quick wins don't have the complete understanding of everything that goes in to produce it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, I'm going to defend low hanging fruit though for a second.
Okay.
Okay. So if somebody says we want a few quick wins, and I say, well, let's actually just do more of a deep analysis on it. During an analysis in which we're trying to understand a particular customer persona, there might be low hanging fruit that can be plucked off and used in that analysis that you weren't necessarily looking for. And to me, that's where the low hanging fruit actually works. So it's not a quick win, but it's an artifact of doing other work and being able to get some additional value out of it without a whole lot of work.
So, true story. Maybe about 10 years ago, we were putting together a proposal, and me, like an idiot, put my marketer speak into play, and we actually titled a section "Quick Wins." And it was after that project, I swore I would remove that terminology from my vocabulary, because the items that we labeled quick wins, they killed us. It took forever to get them done. They were not wins, nor were they quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
let
were
that one
you
marinate.
comparing apples to apples?
Um,
That was another
yeah, no, I was
cliche.
trying to think of a smart ass reply, using another cliche.
Did you run
We,
with it though for a minute?
we didn't noodle on it long enough.
Okay, noodle. Yeah,
I was trying to serve that one up to you because I know that's your favorite one right now. So I was
yeah.
trying to serve that one up for you.
I can't. That one's a recent one, and it just it just was funny because I immediately started thinking of pasta because I like food, and I thought of how somebody, how this particular individual could have been noodling on a topic, and I don't know, my mind goes to really interesting places visually, and it just was really funny how my mind visualized somebody noodling on something. So
That's really funny.
yeah. Well, should we peel back the onion on another one?
Well, yeah, let's do that because I don't want to put a pin in any of the other items. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that, and afterward, we could put together some information for people to download.
Yeah. Yeah. And perhaps they could double click on it to, so they're not phoning it in, and really taking advantage and maximizing the value in that.
Mm-hmm. We are totally on the same page with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I really think that there's been a few spoofs that people have done where they speak in nothing but these cliches, and it's hilarious because it's a reflection of like everyday situations that people live in. So what are some that you actually like though? So I mean, I figured out you do actually like hard stops. Or you didn't say you liked it, but you use it.
I
Um,
use it. At this point, I'm indifferent to it. It doesn't bother me as some other ones.
what about the 30,000 foot view?
I do like that.
You like the 30,000 foot view?
Yes.
You don't think we could just say like, let's take a broader view at this right now?
No, because I think it creates a visual, within someone's mind of like, exactly like how high level you want the overview to be, versus say something with a bit more detail.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'm not going to judge you verbally, but I'm definitely judging you.
Oh, I know you're
Yeah.
judging me.
How about your 2 cents?
Um, I mean that's not necessarily business speak. I mean that's just a general cliche. So, um, I don't think I use it all too often, except in maybe sarcastic terms. You know, but no, that one doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one that comes up in a lot of people's speak is at the end of the day. At the end
Ooh,
of the
that's a good
day,
one.
we need
Yeah.
to do this, or at the end of the day, this is what I'm trying to say. It's, to me, I find myself saying that a lot, and I wonder if I could replace it with something more impactful,
Mm-hmm.
um, than perhaps at the end of the day is.
Mm-hmm. See, I wrote a bunch down, but I already used a lot of them. So I'm trying to think of some of the others that are out there. But like we're 20 some minutes in at this point. So instead of it all just being cliches, we wanted to talk about, like, we started this at the beginning, um like the origin of it, and in sometimes, like, it's to help, like I mentioned earlier, communicate a great amount of detail in a very concise amount of words. But you also brought up a good point that they may also have origins in people just trying to sound more nuanced or more refined, and give off almost like a facade.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes me want to ask this question. So I'm going to. What is, give me at least one example of when you've heard somebody say something truly for the sake of trying to sound smart and have completely um, twisted definition or just missed the mark with their definition. Like, and I'll give you an example. Is there was a time in which the term matriculate was used um, over and over again in a completely wrong way, but it sounds like a nice word, and so it was used frequently throughout. It was so that's one. Matriculate is one that, look it up. Make sure you use that one appropriately.
Yeah, I want to say, um, download. That one, several years ago, there was a group of people I worked with that used download in the context of, we need to pull information together so we can provide a download for the client. And I'm like,
Okay.
are you serious? Like, I mean, like, again, like totally out of context. Because again, if you're talking about putting together a download for someone like me immediately goes to, we're going to put a package together that they are physically going to receive, not a presentation. And that's what
Right.
they were talking about, a presentation. And I'm just like, no, you're totally using, like, this cliche doesn't work. Like, but you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to sound smarter.
Yeah. Yeah. That made me think of it's not somebody trying to sound smarter, but it's a cliche that I actually do think, if I never heard it used again, I would be so much happier. And that is when people use the word ask to talk about a request. Like they're using ask as a noun as opposed to a verb. That to me
That's what
is
I was about to say. Yeah.
like my one of my biggest pet peeves. Like the ask is that you do this, and it's like, no, you are asking me to do something. It's not that the ask is something.
You're
Ask,
asking me to complete a request.
right. So the request is, that's more what we should be saying. So don't ever say the ask, because ask is a verb. It is not a noun.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I already kind of mentioned my thoughts on it very quickly, but definitely want to get yours. Do you see cliches, and maybe not so much cliches, but like the business speak? Because I think we could separate the two. Cliches are things that, you know, while they may become worn out, they don't seem as phony. The business speak to me comes across as phony. Do you see things like that? Make turning a verb into a noun and in the form of the word ask. Do you see that as people creating soft roundabout language to get around being open, honest, and direct?
It can be. I think it's the businessy speak is more used to sound different and interesting, without like changing the actual message. But I do think what you're saying is absolutely used instead of being direct and having just strong candor with somebody. Um, Oftentimes, they will, and I'm going to use a cliche, they will beat around the bush, and never actually make the point, as a result of it. So, yeah, I mean the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and in business, the distance often taken between two lines is a few circles, clouds drawn, and a meandering path that may or may not ever get to that second point. And maybe cliches and business speak is really just like a deviation from that shortest distance. And that wasn't trying to be funny around the shortest distance. Like that was me actually trying to make the comparison. So
Yeah,
hopefully it
no, it was good.
came
I
across.
laughed at first.
Yeah.
Um, I laughed at first. I was like, he's using a cliche to answer the question, but it actually it served its purpose, right? I think that's also a great example of something that is a cliche, providing value, and again, actually creating an image of what you're trying to communicate.
Well, thank you, thank you. I am a man of images and communication,
That you are.
aficionado.
Do you see memes as like the new form of cliches?
No, I see memes as just hilarious and a
You're a
representation.
fan of those too.
Well, it's more representation of pop culture and society's attention. Um, I do think it's funny when people use the term viral to mean like they posted something in their social media, so therefore it's viral, as opposed to what it means. But no, memes are good, man. What do you got up against the memes? Like, what's your problem with the meme?
I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, you
I
sound
was
like
just
you've got
saying
a problem.
I don't have a problem.
Okay, all right. Well, what do you think about the meme?
I think they are becoming or have the potential to become like the visual representation the of a spoken cliche, right? I mean, there are just certain memes out there. If somebody says something, you can respond with that, and everybody knows exactly the point you're trying to get to. I
Yeah,
think they can be used in that purpose.
yeah. Um, which maybe it's just like the manifestation of a perfect response in a visual format, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as you were speaking, I was just so intrigued and amazed that I thought, "Are you a wizard right now?" And then the "Are you a wizard" meme just came to my mind. I don't know if you've seen that guy, but you
I don't
know,
think I have. I don't think I've seen that one.
I'll send you the "Are you a wizard" one. What's the most recent meme that you're bringing up memes? What are you thinking about? What memes are you?
The one that I find the funniest right now is the two women yelling at the cat.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, you've got to have seen this one. I'll send you a few examples of it. Like
Okay,
that one came out of nowhere a few months ago, and it's if you do it right, if you use that one right, it's phenomenal.
okay. What? So there's always the Willy Wonka one, and I think
Yes,
that's an appropriate use, or the Lord of the Rings one where it's one does not simply, and
do
then
whatever.
insert whatever in there. Those are great. I mean, again, like they serve a purpose right there,
Hmm.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Um. Yeah. No. So. Hmm.
We're like what I want to know is somebody needs to create, or maybe it exists. How do you find the original source of that image, and like who was first?
Oh,
Who's
there is. It does exist.
okay? Tell me,
I'm looking it up. I can't remember the exact site. I'm pulling it up right now. Um,
because like this is I mean, obviously
Knowyourmeme.com.
they're they're stealing intellectual property usually with like the picture that they're grabbing, but the content creation and the creativity of what the meme is stating,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty original, right? So I want to
Yes.
make sure they're getting their, I'm they're getting the credit for that.
Yeah. So knowyourmeme.com.
How did I not
That's
know
one site.
this?
That's one site I go to where, like, they try to pull together, at least what I've seen in the past is, like, pull together origins of where certain memes came from.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, isn't don't they have a card game too? Know your meme. I think I've seen that at the store.
Yeah, I think have we played that card game before? There's something like that. Yeah, we've done before.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm now looking through and seeing. I actually am. I'm out of the meme game because I don't recognize a ton of these.
Yeah, there's some new one, but yeah, I'll have to send you the one with the lady yelling at the cat.
Sweet.
So I think we've definitely gone off the rails at this point. For like all three people who are still listening.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
thanks for listening, three people.
well, I mean, this whole episode was meant to be fun, to poke fun at some of the obnoxious business speak that we've had, but also talk about, like, what is the purpose of it. So, let's go ahead and start to wrap up and actually provide value with this episode. Um, I guess, what advice would you give listeners when it comes to cliche usage and jumping on business speak?
So yeah, there. I read something just the other day. I subscribed to a new subreddit called Get Motivated, which is just all about like you know putting out either cheesy quotes or meaningful quotes and or stories that help kind of make you feel like, oh, okay, I can accomplish a particular task. And it's been really good for me personally just to have a quick little reminder of something to get motivated about. And they somebody published this in an image format. This statement, I'll just read it here because I think it comes directly back to how to avoid falling into the trap of just being full of cliches or words, beyond like what they're intended to mean. So this says, educate yourself. When a question about a certain topic pops up, Google it, watch movies and documentaries. When something sparks your interest, read about it. Read, read, read. Study, learn, stimulate your brain. Don't just rely on the school system. Educate that beautiful mind of yours. And I thought it was really like awesome to hear about because I hear from people all the time when I get into conversations. My mind makes weird connections between topics that it is very, very random. And I'd like to think that is because I'm curious and I'm constantly like I'm like a sponge trying to consume more and more. And this really struck home to me because I have conversations with people and will say to me like I just have no idea about anything about this topic. And um, I think to myself, well, that's totally on you. There's more information now available than ever before. And when it comes to cliches or it comes to business speak, don't fall into the trap thinking you know what it means and just saying it. And maybe there's a better way to say what you mean and a better use of words and a vocabulary that will make you more impactful. That would be my final thoughts on the
Mm-hmm.
topic.
No, that's great. And as you were talking, I know I definitely use cliches, and one of the reasons I believe that is I in general am a very visual person. I'm a visual learner, um, and so because of that, I communicate a lot in analogies and metaphors. I do a lot of comparison. You and I talk, use sports analogies a lot to, when we're talking work and talking analytics and what we do. That being said, it can feel very, very easy to just fall into the latest cool term, the latest slick sounding term that people are using. I don't think it's wrong to use cliches. I try to make sure I limit them. So to your point, words have meaning. And what I'm saying, doesn't get lost. But definitely my final thought on this is work to understand, and you brought up a good point, educate yourself. What are you actually trying to say, and know what is a genuine cliche that communicates value and what is just hollow business speak.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And I won't judge you for the cliches unless you start using them too frequently. And then I'll judge you harshly.
I going forward, I am definitely, every meeting we have, I'm just going to try to fill it with as many cliches as I can. Everybody else, I'll talk normally.
Yep. I'm all right. Game on.
Yeah, this was a fun episode. Like I said, this was an episode I wanted to have some fun with, clown around a bit. We definitely went off the rails at one point, but again, trying to also just bring it back to lessons we've learned with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on.
What's that?
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. You're on probation at the moment. We'll see if we can find another episode to include you.
All right. I'll look forward to it.
Cool. Thanks, Bryant.
Okay. We'll see you later.
All right. Yep. Catch everybody later. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of 33 Tangents. If you enjoyed what you heard, please rate and review the show on your favorite podcast aggregator so others can find us. If you would like to reach us, you can do so by emailing podcast@33sticks.com or on the web at 33tangents.33sticks.com. 33 Tangents is a production of 33 Sticks, an analytics boutique.